Do you really need all this to get a great recording?
The clarity of your voice, it's just getting better and better.
Incredible. Yeah, right?
Wow.
That's really good. I can't freaking hear myself.
Really?
Yep.
Crisp. Today we're gonna listen to 4 different recording packages. $500, $2,500, $10,000, and then ultimately $100,000 worth of recording gear. Let's talk about the parameters. Obviously we're recording in a professional studio, so room acoustics are not included. Instruments are not included. The headphone boxes, headphones, and studio monitors aren't included either. The computer and the software are not included in this as well. Each of these packages include microphones, cables, mic stands, preamps, and interfaces. Another quick note, all these prices are accurate at the time of recording and are subject to change. Let's head to the studio and get to work. So $500 setup. Obviously we couldn't afford the best cables or stands. So while I was setting this up, I was dealing with cables that were quite hard to coil, easy to tangle, and stands that wouldn't necessarily tighten when I would try to tighten them all the way. So the setup process was a little more difficult. Thankfully, I only had a couple stands to deal with. The interface limited us to 4 channels of audio to record simultaneously. We only ended up using 3, so it's essentially 1 mic or DI per source. So this is our drum setup here with 1 microphone. It was very important for Casey to self-mix, so making sure not to hit the cymbals too hard. A lot more emphasis on kick drum, a little less on snare just because of the orientation of where the microphone is. The snare is gonna be much louder. So sort of pointing the mic, honestly, like right where the drummer's head is, tends to be the most balanced. I'm really trying to get as much kick drum as I can out of this. It actually picked up a lot of the kick in a quite balanced way. On the ride, if you could maybe try to play it a little less hard, that just tends to get super loud.
Yeah.
But the hi-hat kick snare balance is feeling really good.
Great.
The drums sound really good.
I mean, that goes back to the self-mixing because that could sound terrible, it could sound good, it could sound really good. Even listening back, first time hearing it in the room, I can hear where I could even more improve. Maybe pulling back a little bit more in the snare drum, but like, overall, it's a great picture of the kit.
Yeah. The drum mic was something that I had to probably work the hardest on to get sounding like a record-ready drum kit. A lot of that was using an EQ and finding the fundamental of the kick drum and boosting that quite a bit until I had like a solid low end coming from the kick drum. And then also sort of ducking the cymbals, using some multi-band compression, because even though Casey was self-mixing, there were still times where that crash cymbal was far much louder than the snare drum and the kick. Bass is very simple. Just a DI. That situation is pretty normal, pretty straightforward. Luke, the overall dynamics on your end is great.
Great job, Luke. No notes for you, just for the drummer.
Except that $10 cable. The acoustic guitar and vocal, we're just using 1 microphone. And again, this isn't a unheard of technique by any means. The benefit of it is you have no phase problems between 2 microphones. A lot of times someone is stereo micing a guitar, you can spend a lot of time trying to make sure they're working together and not fighting. Whereas this, you just throw the mic up and it's good to go. So the only balancing done here is just raising or lowering the microphone. It was getting enough vocal to where it was present throughout the whole track, and then just enough acoustic guitar in there where it wasn't overpowering. One of the biggest things I noticed when recording was specifically with Jordan and how he was performing into the gear. And that's something you'll sort of notice as we go up in this tier list, is the more and the better the musicians can hear of their instruments and the other musicians, the better they're gonna perform. Because it was 1 mic per source, there wasn't a lot of nuance that was really being captured. So I could really tell with Jordan, it seemed like he was kind of struggling to perform as well as he could because he was dealing with 1 mic that was acoustic and vocal. Just follow me into the control room, I can show you the interface setup. It's pretty hilarious. Because of the nature of the studio, the interface is in the machine room where the converters normally live. You can see the converters we normally use on a daily basis. And then our little 4-channel Zoom recorder using the headphone out to monitor everything. So this is it. I was very pleased with the fact that I could capture the entire band for under 500 bucks. Did it sound like a finished recording in the tracking process? No. Was I able to get it pretty close in the mixing process? Yes. And I think for somebody that's just looking to capture demos or capture a band in the room, this is gonna get the song to tape. So then came the $2,500 setup. Now we obviously have a lot more room. My thinking was immediately to, okay, what's a great interface with about 8 channels with preamps that we can use as sort of our basis, and then I'll build the package around that. We're doing an 8-channel recording now instead of a 3-channel recording, so that gave us room to mic the kit a little more traditionally. So there's a Beta 52 inside the kick drum, again, saving money on a stand. This is a great solution. just throw the mic right into the kick drum on top of the pillow, ends up picking up the kick. Then we have a direct mic on the snare, which is super cool. Classic 57, can't go wrong with that. And then our overheads are the SE7s. I've used these in my home setup for years. Love the way they sound. And then now we have a great overall picture of the kit here with the direct mics.
Hearing everything more clearly, instantly it went from ghost notes being extremely ghosty to ghost notes coming through a lot more clearly because you are, of course, close mic'd on the snare drum now. And so trying to keep that is interesting.
Yeah, totally.
I don't love my ghost notes being ghosty. You know, I want them to be like more materialized. Not quite as Casper, a little bit more Patrick Swayze.
That also gave us room for a room mic, no pun intended. This was an extra 57 from the Shure drum mic kit. Again, didn't have budget for a stand, so plugged it in, threw it on the floor. Sounds great. The bass setup, the only thing that changed was we upgraded the cable. We were able to use one of the Proco Evolution cables with a 90 degree, so that's an added luxury. I know this may sound insane, but lower end cables are not shielded as well as higher end cable. When I upgraded that cable to the Proco Evolution, it made a big difference when recording the bass with little to no noise. Over in the acoustic setup, now we have the availability of 2 microphones, again with that 8-channel expansion. So I'm using a classic SM7B on the vocal. I would use this on any recording. This is a standard for vocals. It's really great. It allows the vocalist to sort of lean in without having a pop filter because the diaphragm is actually pushed back. So it's great. We didn't have to add a pop filter on the budget.
I think having more presence on Jordan's voice too.
Yeah.
Compared with the 2 mics, it sounded a lot more crisp.
Having more headroom, you're able to like dig in a bit more. I feel like before it was sort of like there was like this imaginary brick wall that everyone was trying to avoid, and now it's like now there's like room to breathe beyond the breaking point. And then we're using this SE VR1 ribbon microphone. I love to incorporate ribbon microphones on acoustic guitars as much as possible, so it was great to be able to fit this in the budget. The SM7B was actually a part of a bundle, so it included the microphone, this Gator stand, and this Gator cable. So that was great to be able to save on cost. And then everything else is using the 5-pack of Proco cables. And some Behringer mic stands. So with this Fender interface, it's great that it's a rack mount and it's all on the front panel. So before on this Zoom, I was kind of had to pull it out of the rack and adjust. Here, I have the gain all right in the front. So that was super nice to be able to adjust that while being able to see everything. This interface sounded amazing. I could definitely hear an upgrade in the preamps and the conversions, so it just made everything glue well together.
I do think it sounds better, but also there's a lot of immediate things that now I know you have more opportunity to adjust than we had previous. So.
Yeah, already on playback, I was playing with that 57 room mic. I was like, how much of this can we get away with? And that's huge for a mix.
5 times the monies. Is it 5 times the love?
That's, yep. Yep.
With the expansion to 8 channels, more direct microphones on the drums, miking the acoustic guitar and the vocals separately, I finally felt like I had the ability to do some mixing in the control room as we were recording. I could also tell in the musicians' performance that they were hearing the nuances. Overall, this experience is way more familiar to me, and I think the musicians would also agree. The $10,000 setup, lots of cool things, microphone upgrades, but also upgrades on the things that I'm having to deal with in a session.
Sounds like you got mics on everything, bro.
I do.
Sounds crisp.
Upgraded all of the microphone stands to K&M. They're my favorite stands for this sort of application. Super durable, easy to crank down so they don't move at all. Whereas the other stands, I was sort of fighting to get them to stay still. It's really great for applications where they're being moved around a lot. That being said, also the cables, all upgraded, easier to coil, easier for me to set up. That was huge for me. For the first time, we have a stand for our kick drum mic. We finally have the budget to keep it off the ground. This allowed us to pull the mic out a little bit so I can get a little bit more of that airiness and sort of balance out the attack versus that with the mic stand, so we're able to place it. Still rocking stereo overheads. We added direct mics on the toms. So using these Telefunken M81s from their drum pack. So now when Casey's doing that sort of tom groove at the end, we're actually gonna be able to hear the toms more, but also be able to dial in that articulation and that attack with direct mics. We upgraded our room mic, and there's also a mic stand this time. Instead of a 57 on the floor, we have this SE VR2. It's an active ribbon mic, and I was able to get it up about head height. So we were really hearing a good balance between the kick and the snare drum in the room. This was awesome. Bass, we were able to upgrade to Radio Pro DI. And then over here in the vocal and acoustic situation, we went and added an AEA KU5. This is a great microphone. Love it on acoustic guitar, love it on electric guitar, love it on vocals. It's all around a great mic. Now we have our first tube condenser in the lineup. So this is the Telefunken TF47 for Jordan's vocal. This was very awesome, fit well with his voice.
You can hear everything you're trying to do purposefully now.
The Motu 10 pre, big thing is we added 2 more channels of mic pre versus the 8. So that's where we were able to add those direct tom mics.
No, this is by far one of the clearest in-ear sessions in a studio I've had. What are the preamps on this?
I'm using the Motu 10 pre.
I'm going home and spending 10 grand on my studio tonight getting that Motu.
If you have 10 grand in your savings account, call your Sweetwater sales engineer right now. Really great user interface, great knob feel, which is a small important thing for someone like me. Great graphics for metering, that was super helpful. Having the preamps being in a different room, I was actually able to dial it in with the meters on the preamp rather than having to sort of look back into the control room. Great sounding preamps, great sounding conversion. So we're just making those steps up, which is just gonna bring the overall detail of the recording way up.
It's right back to the same exact scenario where now it's even more of a opportunity to like be so picky about every single note. There is such a difference coming into this version of it that like we're starting to really notice compositional changes that would affect the final listening experience.
So much space to make me crazy.
We could listen to this way better than, no offense, the other 2 setups and go, I know exactly what I do and don't want. I'm gonna change my dynamics on this. And
the detail of the recording capture then affects the detail of the music.
Probably. Yeah.
This experience felt similar to the $2,500 experience in terms of channels, but the overall quality of mic pre, conversion, microphones all sort of went up. In a package like this, I really wanted to make sure I had quality components that would last over time.
On to 100,000. What is that? What do you, it's 100 bags?
100 bands.
100 racks.
100 bands?
100 racks.
What's a bag?
So here we are, $100,000 worth of recording gear. When I originally thought about this, I was like, this might be kind of hard to fill. And then I immediately realized I'm normally recording with well over $100,000 worth of gear. So for me, this package even felt like I had to dumb it down a bit from what I'm used to, but still had a ton of room to have a lot of fun and play with some outboard gear finally. Not to say that we couldn't be using outboard gear before, but I really wanted to have emphasis on microphone choice and interface choice rather than throwing in, an outboard compressor. On the drums, I guess just talking through the direct mics, these are my go-to microphones when recording, so didn't spare any expense on this. I wanted to use something that I was really familiar with on this final tier. So U67s on the overheads. I love U67s on everything, particularly as overheads, they seem to add a bit of weight to the entire shell pack while also not showing too much presence in the cymbals. So kick drum is a D12 VR and a United FET47, classic D12E FET47 microphone thing. Having 2 microphones on the kick drum is huge. All the other ones we only had 1. So now I have 2 microphones. I have one that can capture the attack of the kick and the chestiness, and then the other one that can capture sort of the air around it, some of the sustain of the shell. Snare drum, also first time we had 2 microphones, so finally get a bottom snare mic to add some of that brightness of the snares. I'm using a Biodynamic 201 on the top and a Soyuz 1973 on the bottom. Toms are DPA 4011s. Amazing microphones on far more than just toms. They capture everything that I'm looking for, but the off-axis response on the 4011s doesn't add any harshness when the cymbals are hit nearby. It just makes them quieter. So that helps the overall kit. Moving to the room mics, what I would say would be one of the most important microphones in capturing drums is the AEA R88. This microphone in particular is capturing the entire picture of the kit from the front, and it's a stereo bloom line pattern, so it's capturing all around it. Compression on the drums is huge. Like this R88,
That makes me crazy.
that's all the vibe and the energy.
That make me crazy.
We're like into the rooms without compression. So that alone is doing a lot.
environmentally, because of the room mics and the way that you've added to this mix, it now feels more realistic to what is actually happening as well. Like as a drummer listening back, I'm like, we opened up the kit and we just, brought it fully to life. So it's beautiful.
Far rooms, I've got the N13s, again by AEA. Great ribbon microphones. They have a thinner ribbon element, so they're really great on super transient sources like drums. I love them in the room. Turning around here to the bass, we're using the Acme MTP 66 DI and preamp. This thing sounds incredible. I love the sort of saturation you can get if you drive it a bit on bass. Moving on to vocals and acoustic. I was gonna go with some sort of large diaphragm tube condenser on Jordan's vocal, but we had previously done a video where Jordan shot out 6 iconic studio vocal microphones, and the C12 to me paired the best with his vocal. So I went with this today, knowing that it was gonna be, any of those 6. And then on the acoustic guitar, I went with the AEA N28, which is again a stereo Blue Mountain ribbon, similar to the R88, but really great on sources where you can mic them really close. So I love it on piano, getting right up in there. I also love it on acoustic guitar. It spreads the guitar out and lets the vocal be present, so it's perfect for this combination. Let's head into the control room and talk preamps and outboard gear and conversion, stuff that we spared no expense on this $100,000 package. So again, a 16-channel recording. We're using this 1073 OPX. It's 8 channels of 1073 from AMS Neve. That's handling the majority of the things we're recording. Besides the kick-in and snare top, I'm using the SSL 9K channel strip. I wanted to be able to compress and EQ the snare top and the kick-in. So that's why I chose those. Everything else is just getting the 1073 OPX, except for the R88 close room is going through a chain that I use all the time. It's this Helios 0011 preamps and EQ into the Chandler TG1. That to me is like the perfect sound with that R88. The compression to sort of glue all of the shells into the room is really amazing sounding. The U67s on the overheads are running through the Mag Pre-Q2. This is a preamp EQ that I normally use on overheads. And then from the Mag, those are going straight into the converter. We're using the Burl Black 16-channel mothership. Vocals are running through this CL1B, again, classic compressor, one of my favorites for like a transparent vocal compression. And then the N28 for the acoustic guitar is running through this DW Fern VT2. Great tube preamp, works amazing with ribbon microphones, and especially singing into compression is huge.
Massive difference. It took away the questions I had on the last couple of setups.
Right.
Some of that was we were all sharing one mix, and now I can change it the way that I need it. It's just so clean and purdy. It's not really a more elegant way for me to say that.
And then in terms of overall clarity, using the Burl converters is like, that's where you can start to get to the point where like I can touch the sound through the speakers. Overall to me, this package felt like a rough mix as soon as we started recording. So immediately I knew I was not gonna have to work very hard in the mixing stage to get this to sound like a final mix. It had that extra dimension, and that's a lot to do with the quality components that we're using here. So we talked about all the setups, we recorded everything. Let's listen back to the mixed track of each one of these packages and see what we think.
I remember when I lost my mind. There was something so pleasant about that place. Even your emotions had an echo and so much space. That makes me crazy. That makes me crazy. That makes me crazy. Probably. Yeah. I remember when I lost my mind. There was something so pleasant about that place. You and your emotions had an echo and so much space. That makes me crazy. That makes me crazy. That makes me crazy. Probably. Yeah. I remember when I lost my mind. emotions had an echo in so much space. That make me crazy. That make me crazy. That make me crazy. Probably. Yeah. I remember when I lost my mind. There was something so pleasant about that place. Even your emotions had an echo in so much space. That made me crazy. That made me crazy. That make me crazy. Probably.
Nice.
That sounds incredible, guys. I had a ton of fun building these out and going on the Sweetwater website with my budget in mind and sort of figuring out what things am I gonna put more emphasis on? Am I even gonna have enough budget for mic stands on this one? All the way up to, you know, the $100,000 one where I was really able to just have fun with it, use some toys that I thought were interesting and some things that maybe we didn't need for the recording session, but things that I thought added that extra 1%. So obviously there's a million different ways to record in each one of these packages. These are just the ways that I came up with. Don't let your gear hold you back. You don't need to spend a fortune to record great music. But when you start upgrading your gear, you're gonna notice a difference not only in sonics, but in the recording experience. As someone that works in a pro studio, things like stands and cables need to be high quality because they're used every day. Pulling out stands daily, you want them to work every time and you want them to work for a long period of time. Same thing with microphone cables, they need to be just as durable as the stands. The same thing trickles down into microphones. You never know how many 57s you're gonna drop and they need to end up working, but also up to, you know, your higher end vocal microphones. These things are a big investment for studios and they need to work for a very long time, but it's also better for the musician experience. Singing into a really nice vocal chain changes the way someone performs. Same thing goes with a drummer who's playing in front of one microphone or 16. They now can hear the nuances in their performance and it's just gonna help them perform better. Limiting yourself to a certain number of channels or a certain price point and then figuring out how you're gonna build this recording package together, I highly encourage you do this. Go on sweetwater.com, make a wish list and see what you come up with. Let us know in the comments below what you would put in each of these packages. If you wanna check out any of this gear or these wish lists, you can go to sweetwater.com or contact your Sweetwater sales engineer. I'm Jason Peets and I'll see you in the next one.
Don't hit me, it hurts.
So good.
That makes me